All right, you know who my next guest is from the most recent season of The Ultimate Fighter. The Hammer, Chandler Cole, will be back in action on October the 22nd when he defends his heavyweight title at Showcase MMA 28 against Anthony Horn. Chandler, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Nice to have you back on the show. We were talking a little bit before we started the interview, and I know life has been crazy for you. We'll dive into the Ultimate Fighter and all of that here shortly. I have plenty to talk to you about that experience. But first, just tell me what life has been like for you since the season of the Ultimate Fighter concluded.
Crazy. It's been a roller coaster, man. It's been highs, been lows. But I found myself in the best mindset to be a fighter. And now I'm just getting ready to fight. And I feel like my maturity level has grown, physically, mentally. And I'm just ready to take on life. Whatever life has to throw at me in my MMA career, I'm just ready to take it all on.
No doubt, man. And it all starts with this upcoming fight, defending your heavyweight title for Showcase MMA. Now, obviously, anyone that loves the sport of MMA and follows the UFC, I would say 99% of them are watching The Ultimate Fighter, tuning in on ESPN Plus. I didn't miss an episode. And you suffered a little bit of bad luck there, obviously having that injury before the fight. How much did that injury affect you in there against Jordan?
I think that the only thing that I did was limit my wrestling. And that's the only thing that sucks is, I didn't even get to showcase how good of a wrestler I am. But I got to strike a lot. I got to stand up, and a lot of people have never seen that side of me. And I think that was a lot of people know that I'm a fast, wrestler. I get to the legs fast. I'm real strong. I'm powerful. My top, when I'm on top of people, I'm real heavy. But no one had ever seen how actual quick I am until they see me start throwing hands. And I think that was cool to get to showcase that on the biggest. Everyone, you go look at the comments and stuff on these posts, and everybody's like, God, he's such a good boxer. I'm like, yeah, I ain't even a boxer. Like, I'm a wrestler. And that in itself, when I talked about just the maturity that I've gained, is I'm no longer a wrestler. I'm a mixed martial artist, and that's a good feeling. So even though, I did hurt my elbow, I didn't get to wrestle, and it did hinder a lot of things that could have possibly happened. So basically, with my elbow injury, it just really altered me from wrestling. And I wish that everybody could have seen, especially on that type of stage, you want to be able to perform at the highest level. And I think that my wrestling game puts me at my highest level, but it really forced me to use my stand up. So a lot of people in the comments and stuff was talking to me, and there's like, man, he's a great boxer, he's a great this, great that. And I'm like, man, I don't even do that. I was kind of forced to have to finally use my stand up. And I think that even though I lost, and even though it was a tough one to take, just for being away from my family, the maturity that grew within that fight, just knowing that I'm a well-rounded fighter, kind of just it sucks, but it's one of those things that I'm super blessed to have had to experience, because I know from here on out, it really just makes me more dangerous, because a lot of people are watching my wrestling, my ground and pound, and they're really worried about that. But now they're gonna have to worry about me spinning stuff, and me throwing bombs, man. And that's the one blessing I take from it. I try to look at the positive things that happen even in the bad. There's things and lessons that you learn in the bad, and that's one thing that I learned, is that I'm him. I'm him, and it's only going to get better. And the overall goal to get to the UFC Hall of Fame, that's not changed, and I'm gonna do that. And yeah, the Ultimate Fighter wasn't my ticket into the UFC, but it's a good start. And it starts on October 22nd. When I put hands on Tony Horn. I feel bad that he's the first one. He's the first victim, and he's gonna have to see how much growth has really came since the show.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to interview you a couple of times before you got onto the Ultimate Fighter, and I know your goal right from the beginning was to make it into the UFC. So I just wanted to ask, how frustrating, how difficult was it mentally for you in the moment when you're on the Ultimate Fighter, and then you have that injury to not be able to compete at your best, to show every part of your game? How hard was that?
Honestly, I wasn't even thinking like that. My worst fear was not getting to compete at all. I knew how bad my arm was hurt because when I heard it in practice and it popped, I mean, I just knew that wasn't right. I never felt anything like that before. And then on top of that, so a lot of people have seen that segment with me and Amanda, but they didn't show everything. It made me look like a pansy. But they didn't show everything. And what had happened is my elbow had popped out of place a couple times in practice. And I'd pop it back in. I'd say, guys, like, keeps doing something, keeps popping out. Like, and they kind of didn't believe me. And they were like, oh God, like, he's fine. He's still laughing. He's giggling. And then I went and go get an MRI and it comes back completely torn. So everybody that's literally on my team is like, because no one believed me. Everybody was like, yo, there's no way he's that happy and has that bad of an injury. And I told him, I was like, nah, guys, like, I'm not dumb. Like, I know my body, and I know that when I felt something that I've never felt before, and I know when it doesn't feel right. And basically Amanda came in about a week before my fight and kind of just laid it out there and said, Chandler, like, I know you've been running. I know you've been doing cardio to try to get ready for your fight. Because this actually happened on the first day, second practice. Like, it didn't happen later on in the season. This happened very early. And that's what I told him. I was like, yeah. I told him, I was like, look, I'll just run. I'll run that for an hour. I became a professional cross-country runner for sure. And she just said, look, we're going to push you super hard this week. And we're going to push your arm and see what all it can do. And if it gets hurt and you can't go, then we'll put an aisle in. And I was like, what? Like, that's what killed me, is like, because in my mind, I was so worried about not getting the fight. And then I finally fought. And then, I wasn't going to be able to fight. And the doctor gave me the go. He was like, look, I wouldn't recommend you fight, but we're going to leave that up to you. And I made that decision. So whenever they gave me the option, one of my wrestlers just walked up on me. I know. Let me regain my thoughts. So when she basically told me, hey, we're going to push you super hard. If you get hurt, then, like, we'll just put an eye back in. I just felt like that was like a strike to me. Like, that was like a blow that, like, it took everything out of me, because I was like, wow, like, I literally just got to go. I'm training smart. Like, I'm not doing anything on my arm. And it still might get taken away from me. So that week, I just, like, my elbow popped out a couple times. Like, it literally done the same thing that it had been doing that entire week, or that it happened when I got hurt. And I was trying just to regather everything, trying to make it to the fight. And then that scene with me and Amanda comes up, and it makes it look like I just asked her. But that's not what happened. Like, she had actually told me, hey, if you get hurt, I'm taking you out of the fight. And I'm like, what? So they left that out. And I was like, man, like, I wish they'd have put that in there, because that's a big part of why I even went up to her and asked her. But instead, it makes me look like a weenie. But no, I never thought, like, oh God, this is going to hinder me. I guess my worst fear is just not getting in there. Like, that's what really bothered me, man. I really wanted to at least have a chance. That's all I've ever asked for, is a chance. Like, I don't need it to be easy. I just need it to be possible. And that's what I wanted. I just wanted the opportunity to get in there and fight. And like I said, I really wanted to win. Everybody wants to be a winner, but I think I got to showcase a wider range of my my fight game. And I think that I became that much more dangerous. I think that I've realized now that, like, I can perform at a high level, and that's what I want to show people. And I'm not just that wrestler. I'm a striker. I'm a wrestler. I'm a mixed martial artist. And that's what I just want people to, when my career's over, I just want them to see the evolution of what I've got to do. And I want them to say, dang, like, he came together and he was a well-rounded fighter. So that's the overall goal.
Do you still keep in touch with Amanda or anybody else from the show to get some training in?
Yeah, so not really to get training in, but we have a group chat and we talk to each other all the time, and we basically keep up with, like, who's fighting. So Caitlin fought last night, done great against Invicta, and I was super pumped for her. And she's just an animal, man. I don't know if you got to see her fight last night, but she's a tank, and she literally put on an amazing performance against Hannah Guy, who was also on the Ultimate Fighter, and There's another one of my wrestlers. Put on an amazing performance and done exactly what she needed to do to win the fight. So I keep up with them a lot. I talk to her a lot, and I try to stay in touch with everybody else. Some people I don't get to talk to as much as others, like Brogan. I'm sure she's super busy. Catherine, she's running a gym and stuff. But as far as the guys go, Eduardo, Mitch, Niall, I talk to them every day. So I'm the type of person, like when I click with someone, I constantly want to stay in touch, because we live in a crazy world, man, and you never know when something wild is going to happen, and I just don't ever want that to be the case. I don't ever want to go without talking to people who play a big role in my life.
Obviously, everyone knows now that Usman beat Pauga in the championship, the finale there, and Amanda beat her opponent, obviously Juliana Pena, in that rematch for the title. Did those fights play out the way that you thought that they would?
I thought Amanda was going to do exactly what she did. I thought that as far as her training, her getting better, and her coming back and dominating, I seen that. Because you'd have to know the backstory about her getting COVID, her getting injured, but she don't come out and talk about that because she don't want to sound like that. I know that she said it in like the trailer, but once she lost, she didn't make excuses right off the rip. It wasn't until the next fight was scheduled and TUF came out that she come out and opened up about it. And you could just see it in her. You could see the fire, and I was like, this is a different Amanda. And I think she looked different in there too. I mean, she came out there and just what she did with switching her stance completely, dominating, taking her down, beating on her. I mean, she really was. It was impressive. And I seen that because I getting to meet her and meet that fire in her. That's exactly what I thought about. And the Pauga fight and Mo, that did surprise me just because of stories that we'd heard. We heard that they used to train with each other. We learned that Zach used to get the better of him. That's why he left the gym. We hear all these stories, so you're like, yeah, Mo's not going to come in there, with his mind clear. He's not going to put on a good performance. And then, he come in there, and I think Zach won the first round. I think that's fair to say. And then Zach just got caught slipping. You can't throw a jab and turn your whole body. It was like he had no respect for Mo, and Mo threw that left hook, man, right on the chin, or right on I don't know if it was the chin, the cheek, or what, but he's a big, strong guy. It's like they say, you can't judge a book by its cover, but there's a reason books have covers. It's like, that's what he says, and that cover looks like a juggernaut out of like a scary African horror film. So but not if everything worked out the way that it could, that's the type of fight I'd want. I'd want to fight Mo over Zach any day, but realistically I'd fight either one of them. But stylistically, I think Mo looks like the easier fight, but everyone has that one hit. I mean, and we're heavyweights, so right. I think that's exactly what happened. He won. Kudos to him. And I didn't see it playing out like that, but it's fighting. It's fighting, and we never know what's going to happen.
One last question about TUF 30 before we transition to your upcoming title defense. What makes Amanda a great coach? What was the best attribute that she brought to the table that benefited you as a fighter?
Honestly, it's because I've seen the level that she was at and how normal she was. That's probably what interacted with me the most. That's probably what touched me and like made me respect her even more, was because I've met world champions before, and or not even world champions. I've just met UFC fighters, and them kind of snub you. And when I met Amanda, and for her to be labeled as the greatest female fighter of all time, the fact that she was so humble, so nice, so caring about all of us, that really impacted me, and made me realize that no matter what level I hit, no matter what level I try to reach, like, always stay true. And I've always said that. You talk to people who knew me 10 years ago, they're going to say, you're the same guy, you're the same caring, humble guy. And I tell them, like, hey, I've not even done nothing. Like, compared to what I want to do, I've not even done nothing. So it just goes to show you that it's possible. Like, the fame and all that other stuff, it doesn't change you. And she may wear Gucci hats now, but as far as her heart and how pure she is, man, she's one of the most selfless human beings I've ever met in my life. She's so caring and funny. She is so funny. And I I aspire to be like that when I'm on that stage one day. I want to be as humble as she is, as down to earth as she is. I don't want to let the lights and the cameras change me. And she is like everything I've ever preached. She is that, and that's why I think it was meant for me to be on her team. It was meant for me to be on her team because she is exactly who I want to be as a champion, as a fighter, as a role model. She's that. So
I love that answer, Chandler. Very cool. And I enjoyed watching every second of the Ultimate Fighter this past season. Let's transition to this fight, man. Title defense, October 22nd, Showcase MMA 28, goes down in Kingsport, Tennessee. And your opponent, Anthony Horn, when you just look at his record, he's 8-11. You have to be a massive, massive favorite here in this fight. Does that put even more pressure on you to just not just win, but maybe get him out of there?
man, the way this fight even got brought about was, he was at the promotion, and we didn't know if I was going to get signed to the UFC or not. We were just waiting on things to happen. And he walked up and he grabbed the belt and he looked at it and he said, "I don't know who I got to fight, but I want this." And getting fights for me has always been a difficult task. And they said, we may have a vacancy later, and we'll see. And he goes, "Well," he was like, "I don't care who I got to fight." He was like, "I want that shot." So he's been in the game a long time. It's one of those things where it's always been hard to get me kind of fights. And I'm on a 2-fight losing skid. So it's like, I think as far as like not a step up in competition, but like just a step back to kind of like regather. And he's gonna come at me. He's gonna fight me. I know that. So it does put a lot of pressure on me, but I know how hard I'm training. Like I may be fighting a guy that's 8-11, but in my mind, I'm fighting John Jones that's sitting at 26-1. So I always look at it like that. No matter what, I always prepare for the hardest, toughest fight that I can get. And I hate that the people on the Ultimate Fighter didn't get to really see that. They kind of saw me wear down in like the end of the second, in the third, even possibly. But a lot of times, man, that's the one thing that freaks people out. They think my speed is crazy for the guy my size. My cardio is crazy for a guy my size too. And I just running on a treadmill just doesn't do it. And I'm in a great mind and body right now where I know what I want in life. I know what I've went and seen over the last couple months. I've went and seen some of the biggest stages there is. UFC 277 was awesome. I went to WrestleMania. I went to the Apex and watched the TUF finale. Like I've been there and seen these fights now, and I'm like, yeah, and I know I mentioned WrestleMania, and everybody's like, oh, like what's that have to do with fight? It's a big stage. Like that's like the epitome of wrestling. It's like going to the Super Bowl. I don't want to be just a successful fighter. I want to be a successful human. So when I look at things like that, and I go to these events, and I do all this stuff, I realize where I want to be at in life. And it is true. Like I said, my maturity and just my obsession for this is unreal, And I've really used a lot of the adversity that I faced in the last couple of months to really channel that into my training, because it clicks everything off. When I'm training, I don't think about the other stuff. I don't think about the losses I've had, the adversity I'm going through. Even right now, I can't publicly come out and talk about some of the stuff that's happening within my family, but we're getting hit right now with some stuff. And I just know that fighting has always been, not just fighting, but training in general has always been my answer, has always been my reason on why I can do something and why, I want to be great. And that's what I've been doing right now, is just channeling all that energy into training, into being great. And that's going to be the difference maker from here on out. Tony's just a step. And realistically, like I'm not overlooking them. I know exactly what I got to do to win, but I'm in my mind, it's every fight's like that. Every fight from here on out, they're victims. They're not opponents. I've threw away the whole respect your opponent until, all peace, love, and nah. We're talking about my life. I think it's very personal. Like when you sign that contract to fight me, you're signing a contract to take food off my daughter's table. So I have to look at it like that. It's like some people love like the respect, the love, the dignity, like that side of me has completely I've had to get rid of that. because I have to think like that. I have to literally think like, hey, I'm going in there as if this is war. Like if the ref stops it, that's the same representation as death.
Mhm.
Like if there's no ref, that means he dies, and that's how I got to look at it. I got to look at that, and that's why I train. If on the Ultimate Fighter, when Jordan's on top of me, he's hitting me, and I'm out of it. I don't know what's going on. I was so clueless. That representation was of me dying. And that's how I look at it. I look at this as like kill or be killed. And the other day I even put on my Facebook, I said, if you aren't ready for war, then you should be prepared for death. And that's just something that came to my mind in the middle of the night. And I was like, God Almighty, that's why I'm getting ready for war. And a whole new era. TUF was cool, but the next era that I'm about to the next chapter of my life, the next chapter of my MMA career is gonna be great. It's gonna be a different author, a different story. This is a new version of me, and I can't wait to show the world. It's gonna be special.
It all starts October 22nd. Again, Chandler the Hammer Cole will be defending his heavyweight title against Anthony Horn in the main event of Showcase MMA 28. Always great talking to you, my man. Before we do sign off, tell people where they can follow you on social media. If you have anyone to thank, floor is yours.
Yeah, I just want to thank all my sponsors, my coaches, my teammates. They've been blessings. They hold me accountable. And that's all I've ever asked for, is just hold me accountable. If I'm messing up, let me know. And I want to thank Americon. That's one of my sponsors. They're special to me just because financially they really helped me. And then on top of that, I want to thank just my coach Adam Mays, Nick Jackson, Josh Newberry, all those guys, Casey Oxendon. They've been a big blessing to me as well. And if you want to keep up with the journey, follow me at Chandler Cole MMA. That's Twitter, Instagram. I got the cleanest TikTok in the game. I'll be making some funny ones, be making some real relatable ones. I think that's one thing that I got going for me, is I'm a very relatable guy as far as people that is normal people. Because I'm a normal guy just trying to make it in this world. And yeah, so follow me on my social medias at Chandler Cole MMA. And I love to interact. I love to meet my fans. So if you're out there and you're watching this and you decide, I want to send this guy a message and find out like if he'll really message me back. By God, every time. I love meeting my fans. So follow me and interact.